A man is inside an apartment unit, examining the whole room. He is working on renovating the unit when he sees a hole in the wall. His boss shows up and instructs him to just cover it up with wallpaper. He proceeds to scrape the hole and reaches inside it as if feeling something inside. Once he reaches further, he suddenly feels pain and finds that he's wounded. He also takes out a necklace from the hole. Later that night, as he finishes up his work, he observes the stained glass window in the living room, seemingly allured by it. His girlfriend shows up with beer bottles for him. He kisses his girl and shows her the necklace he found in the hole. He gives it to her as a present, which makes her happy. He kisses her once more before going to get them both some beer. His girlfriend suddenly stiffens and then breaks the bottle in her hand. He turns to look at her and sees horror when his girlfriend suddenly starts slicing with the broken glass. He rushes to her side and screams for help. Seeing that there is no one to hear him, he rushes outside the apartment to find some help. The door slams shut as he goes out and we see room number 203. The next scene shows our main character, Kim, inside a car with her parents. She is starting college and decided it's best if she moves out to live on her own, with her best friend Izzy. Her parents think she is making a big mistake living with her, saying she is a bad influence. They arrive at the apartment building, and before Kim gets out of the car, her mother sternly tells her that the moment she steps out that door, she can never go back to them to ask for help. Kim looks at them disappointingly and gets down from the vehicle, slamming the door shut. She meets with Izzy inside and they happily go up to their floor. The landlord meets them by the elevator. He seems like a very gloomy person. He walks them through the apartment rules, emphasizing that the basement is off limits to the residents. What secret could he be hiding in the basement? He also tells them that their unit is the last floor to be renovated in the building, and the only apartments there are their room and his room across the hall. They get inside the room and the door shuts behind them. It's room 203. They are very happy with the room. They also see the stained glass window and are amazed by it. Izzy tries to touch the window, but the landlord shouts at her to not touch it, saying it is a historic building and the window must not be damaged under any circumstances. Kim makes the payment and the landlord hands the keys over. Kim is unpacking when she sees a hole in her room's wall. She decides to cover it up by hanging a mirror in front of it. After unpacking, she goes to Izzy's room and sees her looking at her mom's photo. Izzy's mom recently passed away. And although Izzy is good at hiding it, she is still mourning her mom. Wanting to distract her from the sadness, Kim starts playing around with her, like they are two little kids. Then, Izzy says that they should be drinking margaritas to celebrate. Kim initially opposes the idea, saying she has a school orientation the day after tomorrow, but ends up agreeing anyway. They party and dance all night. The next day, Izzy tries to convince Kim to have round 2 of partying. She sees the hole in Kim's room and checks it out. She sticks her hand inside, saying she thinks she sees something in there. She pranks Kim by acting like someone is pulling her arm from the inside. The prank works as Kim immediately rushes to help. Izzy takes out her hand and holds out a necklace she got from the hole. This is the very same necklace that the guy from the start of the film gave to his girlfriend. Could this be a cursed necklace? Izzy decides to keep the necklace and wears it. That night, they go out to the bar and meet 2 guys. One of the guys starts making advances at Kim, so Izzy punches him. They leave the guy there passed out. Izzy brings home the other guy and makes out with him. However, as the guy starts romancing her and undressing, Izzy falls asleep. The guy sighs in disappointment. He steps out of the room and checks out the apartment. He sees the stained window and stares at it. He senses someone lurking around, but there is no one there. He goes to the bathroom to pee, and the next second, he sees a knife stabbed into his stomach. Kim wakes up in the middle of the night after having a bad dream. She sees that the light outside is open. Then, someone's shadow goes out of the apartment. He guesses that it's the guy Izzy took home. When she checks Izzy's room, she is deep in sleep. The next day, she wakes up late and rushes to the school. However, the orientation ended nearly an hour ago according to a guy there named Ian. Coincidentally, he's the one giving the orientation tour, so he offers to orient her in exchange for a latte. Kim happily agrees. She finds out that Ian is a journalism student, focusing on video. Kim is also taking journalism, although she has a minor in psychology. She also shares her current situation with her parents, as well as with her best friend, Izzy. Ian comments that she is lucky to have a friend who is also like family. After the exclusive orientation, Ian tells her he has a protest he has to cover, so he leaves her his number just in case she wants to talk again. Kim thanks him. That night, Kim goes home to an empty apartment as Izzy went out for drinks. She is channeling her grief by drinking. Kim is writing a paper about Izzy's situation. This is without Izzy's knowledge. Later that evening, Kim wakes up after hearing creaking noises in the walls and she sees a bird getting into the hole. Then, she hears banging outside her door. She opens it and sees Izzy. She seems to be in a daze and sleepwalking. She is holding a music box that belongs to the apartment. Her head is bleeding after it repeatedly. Kim helps her out and tucks her in. The next day, During her online class, Kim asks her professor's advice about writing her psychology paper about her best friend Izzy. She asks if he thinks she should get her friend's permission. Her professor advises that she should act independently, as long as she is not putting her friend in any danger or betraying her trust. Izzy is an aspiring actress and steps out for an audition. Kim goes to the campus and meets with Ian. She tells him about her and Izzy's adventures. Ian asks about how Izzy's mom passed away. Kim shares that her mom. One thing that Kim is guilty about the most is that she could not go to Izzy's mom's funeral, as her parents strongly oppose her friendship with Izzy. She recalls how Izzy called her and asked her to be there, but she wasn't able to show up. The next thing she heard, Izzy was in the hospital after taking a bunch of. After that, Kim promised herself that she would always be there for Izzy. She can't help but get emotional after telling Ian this. To cheer her up, he takes her for a ride using his bike. He succeeds as Kim is overjoyed throughout their ride. That night, Kim is talking with someone on her phone when the mirror she hung to cover the hole falls down, breaking it. Then, she hears rustling in the kitchen and sees it's Izzy making out with her new girlfriend. She accidentally steps on the broken mirror and hurts her feet. At midnight, she hears the music box playing from the living room and sees Izzy standing in front of the stained window. She doesn't respond when Kim calls her, so she taps on her shoulder. Then she suddenly screams, and when she looks at Kim, her eyes look different. Then, she runs to the elevator and goes to the basement. Kim follows her using the stairs. She sees Izzy and follows her. She is in a daze. Kim takes the music box from her and closes it, and as soon as she does that, Izzy screams again and pees herself as if she has no control over her body. The next day, Kim tries to comfort Izzy and advises her to go to the doctor, but Izzy doesn't have insurance. Kim meets up with Ian at school and shares what happened. Ian advises her to do some research about the apartment to see if she finds out the mystery. He also offers his help, which she accepts. They go back to the apartment and find it open. Kim sees the landlord inside, who says that he came to treat the stained glass. He also confronts Kim about them going down to the basement last night, reminding her that the basement is off limits. Ian is amazed by the glass and takes a photo of it. She also shows him the music box Izzy was holding. Then she shows her the hole in her room, sharing that Izzy found a necklace in there. Ian thinks it's crazy that a necklace would be in there, and more weirded out that Izzy just casually wears it. They start their research about the apartment. They find an article online saying the previous owner of the apartment murdered his wife and took after. They also find articles about people who lived in the apartment who suddenly went missing. After their research, Kim and Ian shared a passionate moment together. The next day, Izzy is just about to get in the apartment when a mailman arrives and hands a delivery for Kim. As soon as she steps into Kim's room, she is embraced by an awful smell. Then, she sees the papers Kim wrote about her. She doesn't look happy about it. Ian digs more about stained glass windows to help Kim with the mystery of room 203. He finds a church filled with stained glass windows. He sees one that looks similar to what Kim's apartment has, and seems to have thought about something. Meanwhile, Kim visits the house of a former janitor at their apartment building. He agrees to talk to her. He recalls the tragic event that happened to the previous owners. He mentions that the couple had a baby, a little boy, but he is not sure if he survived. Kim comes back home and finds Izzy about to go out again. She is very upset at Kim for writing about her and throws her papers to her face. Kim tries to explain, but Izzy is very hurt that she is using her story just for her grades. She walks out, leaving Kim crying. In a rage, Kim starts stabbing the wall with a hammer, ruining it more. As the hole goes wider and wider, a severed and rotting hand falls from it, shocking Kim. She starts freaking out when the landlord grabs her from behind. Ian seems to have found something dangerous about the stained glass in room 203. He hurriedly heads to Kim's while trying to call her, but she is already unreachable by now. Kim wakes up tied up and gagged. It is revealed that the landlord was the baby of the previous owners. He explains to Kim that the necklace Izzy found belongs to his mother. He says that Marigu, a Celtic goddess from Irish mythology who also transforms into a crow, is in the building and needs to feed, and whoever wears his mother's necklace is its next victim. He further explains that if he doesn't satisfy the crow soon, it will come after him. Ian arrives in the building and heads to room 203. The door is open, so he walks right in and finds the severed hand. Then, Izzy shows up, but she seems different, possessed by the crow. She makes him sit down and gets on top of him, looking at him as if eyeing its prey that she is ready to devour. Kim tries to escape the landlord, but he catches her. He gets his father's journal where he learned details about Morigu's curse and how to feed it. He starts chanting and takes his knife ready to stab Kim as an offering, but Kim fights back, stabbing his eye. She runs back to her apartment and finds Ian, lifeless after being attacked by the possessed Izzy. Kim sees Izzy heading to the basement and follows her. Her landlord also follows and is about to shoot her. However, he starts stiffening up as if being possessed. Then, he loses control of his hand and starts pointing it to then pulls the trigger. Looks like he was too late for the ritual that the Morigu came after him. Kim finds Izzy, The Marigu is possessing her, but Izzy is fighting back, so it's unable to completely succeed. Kim tries to take out the necklace from Izzy's neck, but the Marigu's power is getting stronger, so she ends up stabbing Kim. As the Marigu is about to deliver a stab to her heart, Kim manages to snatch the necklace from Izzy's neck, bringing back her consciousness. Now that Izzy is safe, they go back to room 203. Kim needs to do one final thing. She picks up the hammer and approaches the stained glass, but crows start aggressively appearing outside. This doesn't stop Kim as she manages to break the stained glass. Hopefully, this breaks the room's curse too.